Priority, that is Corey Kluber in the house that Ruth built. That's right. The New York Yankees looking to make a move to bolster their starting pitching. They signed Corey Kluber to a one-year deal expected to be worth $11 million pending a physical. The Yankees have yet to confirm it, but Kluber turns 35 in April. He pitched just one inning in 2020, had the torn muscle in his right shoulder. 2019, also only 35 innings, a 5.8 ERA, so certainly he struggled. But, Ron, this is a guy who was a two-time Cy Young Award winner. When we saw him in 2018, sub-3 ERA, 222 strikeouts. I don't know if he can be that guy again, but if the Yankees get 80% of that guy, then this is a good deal.
Yeah, they certainly don't need him to be that guy. What I find interesting is that, he had the showcase in front of 25 out of 30 teams, but really it's people that are away from the diamond that are playing the most important part of that. Eric Cressy, who's a strength and conditioning coach, who's been working with Kluber. Matt Blake, of course, who worked with him in Cleveland, is now the pitching coach for the Yankees. And I think Cressy's not going to sign off on Kluber unless he feels that he's going to be healthy for this upcoming season. And, of course, the optimism of Blake also. I think, guys away from the field played a big part. Now, what are you going to get? What do you need from Kluber? Well, it depends on the rest of that pitching rotation, right? Yeah. You've got a lot of good and talented guys, starting with Cole at the top, but then you have a lot of young guys, Clark Smith and others.
Clark Schmidt
and others. And so for Kluber, if you get a lot out of those guys, then he can be maybe a 4 or 5 guy. Maybe give him an extra day in between starts to push him along. But I'm glad he's still out there. It seemed to me like he really wanted to be in a Yankee uniform.
Yeah, $11 million is a good price tag. I mean, I'm happy. I thought it was going to be a 1 year, $6 million, maybe incentive. So $11 million means the Yankees clearly invested in him. To your point, Tanaka, Paxton, Happ, all free agents. John Heyman was reporting he does not 100% confident Tanaka returns, getting offers in Japan. So that's 3/5 of your rotation gone. You need those Domingo Germans, those Clark Schmidts, those Davey Garcias, Jordan Montgomerys.
Right.
If 3 or 4 of those guys step up, I agree with you. Kluber, I love him as a number 4 or number 5. I'm not as confident of him as a number 2.
Yeah, if he's pushed to the point where he's got to do stuff that physically his body will not be able to take at 35 years old.
Right.
But if he's your 4 or 5, I think that's a great choice. Although $11 million was north of where I thought he would get.
Yeah.
But good for him.
Yeah, he clearly showed those scouts enough, and you're right. I think Cressy and Blake having that relationship. Yeah. They went to Aaron Boone, went to Brian Cashman, believe in this guy. Kluber is the guy for the New York Yankees. Speaking of the Yankees and starting pitching, there was also some rumors out there that Luis Castillo could be in the mix as well. Now, Castillo has been nothing short of sensational. The Cincinnati Reds. He's 28 years of age. He's settled for the Reds for $4.2 million for this upcoming season. He's under club control for 2 more seasons after this one. Now, this past year, 3.21 ERA, 89 strikeouts in 70 innings, and in 2019, he was an all-star. Ronnie, if this guy's available, which, by the way, the Reds immediately squashed those reports, but if this guy's available, this would be a huge upgrade for the Yankees.
It would be. I think when you look at his career, though, he's the guy that they want to have there and watch him be a number 1 or a number 2. What I found funny, I don't know if you did, but really was the posturing and the back and forth between the people in the know and kind of the people not in the know, because the people that weren't in the know kind of floated this idea of Castillo going to the Yankees. And, of course, the guys that are in the know were very angry that this was even brought up. So I thought that was a funny part. But Castillo, with that devastating changeup, throws north of 97 miles per hour. I would say that he hasn't even come close to his potential yet. There's such a high ceiling for this young man, and I'm sure Nick Kroll and the Cincinnati Reds would like to see that happen in Cincinnati.
Yeah, the one thing that's frustrating, I think, for the Reds, you felt this with the Indians as well. We look at teams in Ohio, is that, listen, the Reds, they seem like they were really bolstering their lineup, going for it by signing Mike Moustakas, signing Nicholas Castellanos. And then after this year, the pandemic, it's kind of like, all right, you know what, let's divest ourselves of some assets. They're not going to re-sign Trevor Bauer. Bryson Iglesias jettisoned, Archie Bradley, see you later. And now it looks like maybe Castillo could go, or at least they're entertaining that option. Sonny Gray as well. I just think as a baseball fan, Ronnie, it's like, man, maybe it's just the Democrat in me, you know what I mean? Like democratically speaking, not politically speaking, but like I like to see all teams do well. I like to see that equal playing field. I like to see parity. It's tough watching the Reds not be what they once were.
Yeah, I'm sure that they could explain it to me, but I don't get it. I don't get where you're all in and then a year later you're all out, or so it seems. Now, they'll make the argument, of course, that they still have a lot of talent there, Castellanos, Moustakas, Votto, and others, that they'll still be able to get the job done. But if you look at the players that they've traded, Iglesias, of course, that saves them $9 million. Bauer's not going to be signed. There's a lot of talent that's leaving there, too.
Yeah, it's an interesting time right now for Cincinnati because they were 31-29. Remember Joey Votto before the playoffs started said, you know what, we could be a dangerous team. Unfortunately, they were swept in that wild card series. You wonder, if maybe if they'd gone on a run, perhaps the Reds would have been more inclined to invest. But I'm with you. I just don't understand that you can go, we're all in, and then we're all out right away.
Especially in that town. You know, Cincinnati's such a great baseball town, the original National League town.
Yeah, Red Lights, great. Skyline Chili, you're a fan?
Not a fan. Have you had Skyline Chili?
I have.
Sorry, Cincinnati.
I was about to say, we don't mean to, we love the city of Cincinnati. Skyline. When I was there for the All-Star game a few years ago, everyone said, you got to try the Skyline Chili. I said, yeah, it's not really chili. It's a different concoction than what
Everyone tries it once.
Bad for the bowels. Speaking of diet, though, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., how about this transformation? We've talked about the Toronto Blue Jays, how they're in on everyone. Well, I'm in on this. I'm in on a body makeover. This is like one of those reality shows, Extreme Makeover, Vlad Jr. Now, sometimes you wonder, Ronnie, is it just the angle? Is it the shirt? Regardless, though.
There's no angle. There's no shirt there. This guy is just transformed. This young man has transformed himself. And you know, you're as an older, used-to-be player, I'm so proud of him. You know, I think that, you know, one of the most difficult things in the game sometimes is the whispers. You know, people love the whisper about the people that aren't perfect, you know, in the way their body presents as an athlete. Some people are just big athletes, you know, and he'll always be a big athlete. But to put himself in that kind of shape means that for 162 or how many the MLB plays, he's going to be in a better position, not only to be good on the field, but also to not get injured. I'm proud of him as a former player.
I agree. Listen, he's lost 30 or more pounds this offseason, clearly oiled up there, so he's very proud of what he's showing. But I'm with you, it's hard to lose any bit of weight, man. Like, we all love to eat. I mean, this was a hard thing for this guy to do. I just wonder about fitness when you were playing. Like, okay, this guy now, you got trainers, you got protein shakes, protein bars, let's go. When you were playing in the 80s, I'm sure there were some guys who were lifting, but nobody was like this.
Yeah, I mean, in fact, I'm old enough that I come from a generation where you were told not to lift, that you would hurt something or whatever. They really didn't have a lot of science in those days. But you know, we had a player on our ball club, one of my favorite ever, a fellow Hawaiian, Sid Fernandez. And Sid would get big, but he was one of those guys that just was so athletic, sneaky athletic, and could pitch big. And then one winter, older people will remember this, it was like a baked potato diet. He would just have baked potatoes with mustard on it, and he lost like 30 or 35 pounds. He came back to spring training, could not break a pane of glass. So they told Sid, you got to put the weight back on. 2 minutes later, he was ready to go.
2 minutes later, let me get the spaghetti.
Let's go. Exactly.
The baked potato diet. This must have been big in Ireland. Like the Irish were all in on this.
Exactly. It was so funny because, you know, in your lifetime, you remember when chicken was the way you died.
Sure, weight bugs.
But this baked potato thing, and it really worked for Sid. And he was slim and looked great, but he couldn't get anybody out.
I remember the actor John Malkovich told the story. He was 18. He lost 40 pounds in 2 months, ate nothing but Jell-O.
Really?
And I said, there's no way, even if it's sugar-free, that's tough to get done.
That's tired.
Jell-O, that's tough. All right, speaking of food, Steve Cohen throwing this out there for all the New York Mets fans, all right? We all know he is the owner who is brash and he's fun and he wants to engage the media out there. What kind of changes to the stadium would you like to see? I'm looking for creative ideas. My first thought was, hey, more Shake Shacks. There can't just be one up there in left field. We need multiple Shake Shacks. But at Tanaka Comeback tweeted back, a giant banner of your face as you walk in. How about Stevie Cohen? I don't know if he's got joke writers. Maybe Seinfeld's giving him some lines. But he wrote back, I'm trying to attract fans, not scare them away. Good one-liner.
I think one of the most attractive things about Cohen's Twitter account is how self-deprecating it is. Think about the average fan. Who has, you know, contact or the ability to go back and forth with a billionaire?
Yes.
That's the most amazing part. And but my only thing when I see him tweeting all the time is that if my pension fund is lifting, I'd rather he be crunching the numbers than like going back at Tanaka.
Look for a little extra cash here. Like, come on, let's go.
I got to have 17%. Let's go.
Do we have the picture of Steve Cohen's giant face, J Mac? Yeah, let's throw it up here just to show you what it would look like. So Citi Field, like that's what it would look like when you're walking in. I mean, listen, you see that, then you see the Robinson Rotunda. I mean, that to me looks absolutely beautiful. All right.